Hey folks, Adam Lefever Hughes again here at St. Peter's in the Sanctuary. And remember a couple weeks ago, maybe almost a month or so ago, we were talking a little bit about some intervals, and we were talking about stepwise motion, where you just kind of go right up the scale, and skips, where we just skip one note, it's like skip counting. If you sing, bum, 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 sure, just like that. And then I mentioned larger leaps, and I just said, well, just go for it and see what happens. I know that doesn't work for some of you, so I thought we could talk a little bit about some songs that might help you have an idea of how big some of these leaps are. So first, I thought we should go, since we talked about skips, and those are thirds. That's the official name for them. You can impress your friends with this knowledge. So thirds, obviously the next interval would be fourths, and we sing fourths all the time. Probably the most common song that I can come up with, at least church song, that has a fourth in it is Amazing. That's a fourth. Ba-bum. Or you may know bum, bum, ba-bum. That's a fourth. So a fourth, you're skipping two notes in the middle, and so the space between those two notes, we call that a fourth. So that's a fourth. Next up, we've got a fifth. Fifths are cool. They happen a lot, probably not quite as often as fourths. A song that we have in our hymnal that we sing every now and then is O Holy Spirit, Enter In. And it kind of goes like this. And in that first line, there are actually two fifths. We sing, O ho, for O Holy Spirit, O Holy. And then on the word Spirit, Spirit. Those are fifths. I like to think of fifths as being the trumpet fanfare interval. The trumpet fanfare. So those are fifths. Next up, we have sixths. I found a good example for this one. Of course, we all know and love ELW setting 3 or LBW setting 1 of This is the Feast. Right? This is the feast of victory for our God. There's a sixth in there. It's a little hidden from the word of to the first part of victory. This is the feast of victory, that's a sixth. And a more popular song that uses sixths would be My Body Lies Over the Ocean, right? Yeah, so those are sixths. Of course, then there are sevenths, and sevenths are tough. There's not a really great hymn that uses the leap of a seventh. When it comes to sevenths, it's like almost an octave, but not quite. So let's talk about what an octave is. An octave is when you just go from the low of one note up an eighth. Well, octave, 8, octagon, octopus, 8. It's an eighth. And so octaves sound like this. Oop. Right? Ba, ba. Those are octaves. It's the same note, just up in the next octave, next register, anyhow. So sevenths are just a little bit smaller than that. Ba, ba. It's a little, not quite there. So I saw, there was, of course you remember the song Take On Me. Take me on, right, yeah. That's a seventh. I know, yeah, it brings back memories. But I thought we would talk a little bit about those so you have some frame of reference. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit about solfege. Don't let that word scare you away. But solfege, which is kind of the words that we use to talk about the different notes of the scale and how they relate to one another. And that, I tell you, is going to be the thing that makes the biggest difference in how we sing and how you hear where you're supposed to go for the next note. So I hope you'll tune in next week. And until then, keep singing.